Hello and a very good evening, everyone. I hope you all are fit and healthy. You all are taking all precautions from the virus. Yes, the vaccines are out, but we still need to take care of ourselves, right? So we are responsible for our own safeties. Yes. And I hope everything has already started. Schools and colleges, work has come back to normal, and it is good news, of course. And I know everyone must have got so bored sitting at home that we all want to go to schools and colleges, meet our friends, and have a normal life like every time, right? So that's congratulations to everyone. Okay, let's start. Today, we'll be doing a topic of additional English, that is also known as special English for the second year BA students. What I did last in the previous video, I'll just tell you all, I have completed the Sun Rising poem, that is the third poetry by John Donne. We did everything about the poet and what all everything about the poem itself. We have already read the poem. Yes, it had difficult words in it, so we have brought it down into easier words. We did the glossary words, and now we'll be starting with a new poetry, that is London, the fourth poetry, and the author's name is William Blake. This is also a very well known author, and today we'll be seeing only about the author and a little bit about the poetry itself. So let's start about the author. So, as everyone knows, I'm referring to this book, and we are on page number 62. Sorry, we are on page number 63. So, let's read about the poet, that is William Blake. William Blake was an English poet, as of course his name states. He was a painter and engraver at the beginning of Romantic era. A Romantic era, everyone knows, right? And he was at the beginning of that era. So he had no formal education but had read Shakespeare and Milton and was very familiar with the Bible. Now, what does this mean? So, yes. So let's start. He had no formal education. What does that mean? He did not go to school and all. It means a proper degree, right? Whenever we are working into any sector, what happens? We work for a proper degree for that sector. We should have all the documentations, we should have everything, right? But what about this one? He did not have proper degree, formal degrees for his work, that is poetry. But he had a lot of reading experience. He read a lot about Shakespeare, who was the best author and poet, and Milton, and was very familiar with the Bible, right? So he read Bible a lot. Largely, he was self-educated. So by all these things, we know that he was self-educated. He did not get proper formal education from school, and he did not get all the degrees, but he self-educated himself, and his talent was recognized by the early Romantic era, and he was appreciated by everyone. His poetry was published in an unusual manner. Of course, as he was not into the line, but his poetries got published later on. He personally manufactured every copy. So by this you can understand that he worked very hard, and of course he had done everything on his own. There was no one else to help him, no reference, no preference, nothing, right? So he has done everything on his own. He has manufactured his own copies, and then this is how he got into the career of poetry. The verses were cut into copper plates with engravings that illustrated them. He illuminated the pages with watercolors. So he had decorated all his things. That shows his passion, right? When a person has so much of passion to do something, he does not require anything. Of course, you require degrees and education, but sometimes your passion is so great for some things that maybe if you've done your studies or something in one thing and you have a passion for another, maybe you just change your line in your field and you do excellent in the other field that you're passionate about, right? So he was passionate about poetry, and you saw he did so many different things. He manufactured his own copies, then he decorated his own pages. and with engravings at the side, and he illustrated them, he filled them with watercolors. So much he did for him, for each and every copy. That costs a lot, and that also costs so much of time. The purpose of his art was primarily dedication. So with all dedication he did his work. He then rationalism and materialism of his times, he just took out time for all this. The human beings he depicted were with evil, yet strove for the divine within them. So he showed a lot of evil characters also in his poetry. But then later on, he showed that how all these evil characters change into also good people, right? Later on, it happens, right? When you see a movie or something where a person in the starting is very evil or he's not good, with not good habits, but later on he changes himself and he's the excellent one, even more better than the others. So like these type of stories he portrays. Blake glorified imagination and over all the reasons, which he equated with a tyrannical system of denials and prohibitions. His vision was true freedom from the spirit, and he hoped to be a free man. Now, Blake's mystical tone and symbols and his revolutionary attitudes in the theme and imagery often convinced him generations that he was lunatic. It was not until the mid 19th century that his social and political philosophies got very famous and appreciated. So, of course, whenever you work anything with passion, maybe in the starting you are not that much appreciated and accepted. But if you're doing your work with the best possible way, you are definitely going to be appreciated, right? Blake's poetry was a marked departure from the earlier neoclassical poetry and theme. So he mostly wrote neoclassical poetries, and he had a different style and tone for his poetries. Then, his first publication of poetry was Poetical Sketches and is considered to be his best lyrical work. So, Poetical Sketches is considered, you should remember the word name of the poetry, right? It was followed by Songs of Innocence, and after a few other poetries and publications of Songs of Experiences, the most familiar of his lyric appeared in these two major collections. What were the two major collections? Songs of Innocence, Songs of Experience. The most familiar, yes. Then his other important work included The Marriage of the Heaven and the Hell. That the name itself shows you how unique the story and the poetry will be. You all can definitely go online and search for this. The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, 1790. His main prose work and the symbolic poems was Jerusalem and Milton. So both these things were very famous about him, and he was a great poet. Lot of hard work was put by him. So you all can understand that if you work hard for anything, you will get it. It will take a little time. It will take a little more patience for you, but definitely it will happen after some time, right? So you should not worry when your results are going to come. You should just keep on working hard and hard, right? So this is what we learned from this poet's life. William Blake was a great poet, and he was not educated. That means he was not formally educated, but he self-educated himself, and that's how he became a great poet. So this was all about him in this video. The next video that will be coming up will be about the poetry he's written, that is London, and we will see the poetry, also the glossary words and question answers and everything from it. I hope you all understood about the poet, and if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and do share with people, and keep following the video so that you learn about the poetries properly. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourself.